Yo, what's up guys? It's K-Willy Cashin from Magnesium Records, and I'm about to show you how I make Yeat type beats. All right, so when you start making Yeat type beats, I always start off with chord progression and get kind of a synthy type sound and make some really simple chords, usually using fifths. So I have an E here and a B lined up just as a simple chord. And then you can add some notes on top to make it a little more interesting. So what I did next is I copied the same exact MIDI and just put it on a different sound to add a layer. So when I make a lot of my beats, I use that technique where I just basically copy the MIDI onto a different sound. And that's a good way to add more stuff to your beat without making all the melodies sound cluttered and kind of clashing with each other. So I did that one more time with this pad sound. And as you can hear by that kind of ducking and clicking sound, it has halftime on it. So the halftime settings I used is 2 times. I turned the mix down just a little bit. I put it on 500 milliseconds and put it on 116. So now that I had those 3 chords layers down, I wanted to add a little pluck or something that's kind of like a lead sound. And then using the same technique again, I doubled it onto the same exact MIDI, just a different sound. Obviously that one's a little bit more distorted. Okay, so what I did next is obviously since it's Yeat type beat, you can add a bell to it. So I just added a bell that follows all the root notes. And something I did here is I turned down the velocity of the 2 high bells because I wanted to kind of fall in the background and not be so prominent when we have these 2 notes playing from the chords. So I added one more melody layer to this beat because I wanted to have a little bit more movement within the melody layers. So I added this falling pluck here. And one last melody layer I added is I added this sub bass that also follows the root notes just like the bell. And this is just kind of bring everything together and give a more menacing kind of sound when the drums aren't playing. So this is what all the melodies sound like together. So onto the drums now. So when you're making a Yeat type beat, you want to keep the drums pretty simple. So I just have this regular clap pattern here. Then for the hi-hats, I also kept them pretty simple. I just have a 2-step with some triplets added in. I also wanted to add a little bit more to the drums. So I added these beep sounds and the accent clap. And as you can hear, I have these claps panned out to kind of give it a little bit more room in the beat because I don't want it kind of sitting right in the front. I want those to fall in the background as well. And then lastly, we have the 808 and the bass sound. So I have just a simple spins 808 and I just follow the root notes for the whole 808 pattern. And then for the bass sound, it comes in towards the end of each bar and it follows these 2 notes at the end of each chord progression. So when you're making beats, especially for artists, you want to try to keep things really simple and don't add too much to your beat because sometimes producers, they try to make beats for other producers and try to impress other people. But when they do that, they end up putting way too much stuff on the beat and leave no room for the artist. So if you have trouble getting sales with your beats, especially Yeat type beats, some producers like to put a lot of stuff. Try making your beats more simple. And if you feel like the beat is full, stop adding stuff. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the arrangement real quick. So for the intro, it's really simple. All I have is the sub and the first chords layers playing, and then it goes into the pluck coming in along with the clap, hi-hat, and 808s. Then as we get into the second 4 bars right here, the second chord layer comes in, the third chord layer comes in, and then this lead comes in, and we have some cuts in the arrangement with the clap, hi-hat, drums, and the 808. So easy way to make your beats more interesting and kind of have more bounce is to just do cuts in the drums like this, and I'll show you what that sounds like. Okay, so what I did after that is I brought more of the melody layers in. I brought both the pluck layers back in, the third of the chord layers, and I added the bell. Then for the 4th section right here, I took out the main chords. I took out the 3rd chord. I took out the main pluck, and I kept the bell in there. And I did that to make it sound a little bit more open and give it more variety throughout the beat. And then I also did a cut right here at the start for the drums, and this is what that sounds like. Then for this bridge section, I put every single melody layer along with the sub and took out all the drums. And then what I did after that is I copy and pasted this whole section right here, and I pasted it over here and added another bridge in between these two sections here. So I split this one in half and added a bridge between it, and did the same thing for the outro right here as the bridge, as the first bridge. And that's basically it for a pretty simple arrangement for Yeat type beats. Thanks for watching, and make sure to leave a comment for what type beat you want to see me break down next.